Hello everyone and welcome to this video of our Python tutorial series. In this video, we will be covering strings in Python. We will get to know some of the most used string methods and how to use them. So let's start with the code itself. In my previous video about variables and Python data types, we talked how we can declare any particular string in two ways in Python. If you haven't watched this video, the video is mentioned up there. We know that we can declare strings in Python in two ways. First, by enclosing the string in single quotes, and another by enclosing the string in double quotes. If you haven't watched this video, let's do a quick example here. Let's say I want to store a string a hello in single quote and store a string in b in double quotes, let's say hi. And if I just check the data type of both the strings, I will get both a and b as class string. So now we have created two variables a and b, with a storing hello and b storing hi. So what is the most commonly used string operations? It's string concatenation. So what is string concatenation? Whenever we want to combine two or more strings together into a single string, it is known as string concatenation. For example, whenever we write or speak any sentence, we concatenate different words together into one single entity. So that combining of different words is called concatenation. Let's see how we can do it in Python. Let's say I want to combine hi and hello together. So what I can do is just write a plus b. I know that my a is storing hello and b is storing hi. Now Python has returned us a string hello hi, which is the concatenation of both string a hello and b hi. Now we know that if we perform the same operation, addition operation with integers, we would have got the sum of those integer values. We would have got the sum of integers values stored in them. But as we have the string stored in these variables, it will by default be concatenated. Similarly, I can do a plus b plus, let's say, an exclamation mark. We got hi hello exclamation mark. Now let's do something fun. Let's check what happens when we try to add any integer value in a string value. Now we know that integer values are summed up together when we use the plus operator, and for strings we know that when we use the plus operator with strings, when we use the addition operation with strings, it concatenates them. So should Python throw an error or do what? We don't know. Let's check. Let's say I want to add 3 to my variable a, which is hello. So what should I get? Let's try a plus 3. We got an error. We cannot concatenate an string with an integer. Now if we read the error, we clearly know what the error means, why the error is there in our code. Type error can only concatenate str to str, which means if we want to concatenate a string, concatenation can only happen with strings together, not int. Okay, let's convert 3 to string and then add it to a. So I have enclosed it in single quotes, so we know that it's string, and now we got hello 3. Learning programming is fun in many ways because we always learn how the programming languages work if we try and experiment with them. Now let's say I want to multiply with a string. It should give us an error because we already got a type error that we can only concatenate string with string. But for concatenation we have plus operator. What happens when we try multiplication? What happens when we try subtraction or division? Let's check. Let's say I want to use b this time, which is high. So b multiplied by, let's say, 5. We got high, 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 high. Our string high is repeated 5 times. So this specifies the usage of multiplication with string. It repeats the string n number of times if used with multiplication. Now let's say if I put 5 before and put b after multiplication sign, that is 5 multiplied by b, it still gives us high, 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 high. Now let's say I want to divide. I don't know what happens when we divide a string with an integer. Let's try high b divided by, let's say, 2. We got an error, which clearly specifies that we cannot use division operator with strings. Now we know how to concatenate a string. We know how to repeat a particular string n number of times, where n can be an integer. Now let's move on to next function, which is not specifically a string function. It's a Python function which can be used with any of the variable or value. So the function name is len. As you can directly guess, and I have already mentioned that in Python we have function name which exactly does what we can infer from them. Now we know that len is quite similar with length, can be short form of length, and that's what exactly the len function does in Python. It returns us the length of a particular variable passed in it. Let's say I want to pass and check the length of variable a, the value stored in variable a, which is hello. The length should be 5 because we have 5 characters in our string HELLO, one for each character. And if we want to get the result of len a, we exactly got what we wanted, the length of our string, that is 5 characters long. Now let's try the same function with a multiplication operation. Let's say I'll do len a multiplied by, let's say, 2. So a multiplied by 2 should give us hello, hello. Hello should be repeated 2 times. So the length of a multiplied by 2 should be 10. We got 10. Okay, now let's move on to next methods. And these methods are string specific, which means that they can only be used with strings. If we want to use them on any other variables or any other data type, the Python will directly throw us an error that we cannot use these functions in them. So if we have a string specific function which we know that will only be working for strings, so in Python these functions are directly treated as the functions of class str, which is the data type class of string type. So to call them we will have to use dot operator. We will cover the concept of classes and functions and dot operator when we study about classes in detail. So for now it's good enough to know that for using string specific functions we will have to use dot operator. The first function we will be talking about is strip function. What is strip function? Now let's say I want to reassign my variable a as space hello space hi and again multiple spaces. For now we are assuming that the user have given us this input which contains spaces before and after the useful string, because we will only be wanting to use hello and hi to avoid any useless calculations. So what strip function does is it automatically removes each white space, each space given by the user or present in the string before the first non-space character, that is first alphabet or number or special character other than space. It will erase all these spaces before that, and It will also erase all the spaces after the last non-space character present in the string. Let's say we want to use strip function over our string a, so we will have to use a, the string variable, dot, as we are calling a string specific function, and the name of function which is split, and we know whenever we want to call any function we will have to use parenthesis. Sorry, I typed split there. We will discuss about split later. We were talking about strip function here. So name of variable a dot the name of function strip and parenthesis, as we know that whenever we want to call any function we will have to mention parenthesis. So my a dot strip gave me hello hi, erasing all the spaces before and after our significant string, our useful string, our required string. Now let's say, just as we want to have fun, user also wanted to have fun, and instead of spaces we got a string which contains useless character before and after the string. Now let's say I am reassigning the string with any other character, let's say exclamation mark, and again hello, and then finishes it again with exclamation mark, and I want to strip the exclamation marks instead of spaces. So if I use strip function here now, it's useless because the strip function is not finding any useless spaces before and after the string. So I have to mention that I want to remove exclamation marks before and after the string. So I will have to mention that I want to remove exclamation mark in our function parameter. How to do that? We will just have to pass exclamation mark string as the parameter of the function. We got hello and it removed all the unnecessary exclamation marks. Now let's try another example with strip. Let's say my user entered A's before and after my useful string. So what I'll have to do is, instead of exclamation mark, I'll have to pass A as the string in the parameter of strip. If we can infer from these three examples what strip function is doing, strip function is checking string passed in it as parameter in each cases, which by default is space. It checks from the beginning of the string if that character appears or not. Let's say it checks here, A is here, it removes this A and moves on to next A. It encounters a again and removes this A and then go further and then go further and then go further and then again go further until it encounters a non-A character here, which is whatever the string is passed in this parameter, it will erase all the occurrence of that string until the first non-A character appears. In this case, first non-A character is capital H, and it does the same from the end of the string. It erases this A, then this A, then this A, and then this A, and then it encountered a O, which is a non-A. So it erases this part of the string from back, these 4 A's, and removes these 6 A's from the front of the string. So we are only left with hello, the useful string which we want. So now you know how strip works. Continue experimenting with it, and if any errors or doubts come up, leave it on the comments. Now let's move on with another string specific function, lower. If we hear lower, we know that the function will convert all the characters in the string to lowercase. Let's keep A as this string here and use lower on this string, A dot lower. Now we got a same string, but the capital H is now a lowercase h. Similarly, there is a function called upper which does exactly the opposite of lower. It converts all the characters to uppercase. Let's move to this function which we by mistakenly entered here, a.split. If you can infer what split is doing here, we know that whenever a space is encountered, it separated the strings. We have performed concatenation, and split is used for performing separation of strings. So let's say I want to reassign my string with a sentence. Let's say I love Python, and I want to split this string. So to split the string, I'll just have to use the function split, and I'll get the result. It splitted the string in three different values. First is I, second is love, and third is Python. Now we know that each of these three words were separated by space. So split detects space and then separate that part of the string from the rest of the part, and move further until it encounters another space and separate that part too from the rest of the part of the string. So we got three different separate values, I, love, and Python. Now let's say I want to declare a string with a sequence of number. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I want to separate each and every number in that string. Now we know that for separation we have to use split function, but by default split uses spaces to separate the string, but we do not have spaces in this case. So what can we do? Similar to strip function, we can pass the character which we want to use. Instead of space, we can pass it as parameter. So we'll do the same with split 2. Now let's pass comma and let's see the result. It separated all the strings, all the values whenever it encounters a comma. Comma was here, it splitted 1. Then moved on, comma was here again, splitted 2. Here again, splitted 3. Here again, splitted 4, splitted 5, splitted 6, and the last remaining was 7. So it splitted the string into 7 different strings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We cannot cover each and every string function in this video, so we covered just the most used string functions of Python. There are many other string functions present in Python with different use like capitalize, ends with, starts with, and many more. You can directly Google the string functions of Python and you will get the results. And if you want to perform any particular string function on our strings and cannot find the function to do so, just leave the query on the comments. I'll help you with that as soon as possible. So that will be all for this video. Thank you for watching.